What I have for you next is yet another great example of what I said in the last segment, which is that as unfortunate as this is, lying is lucrative. And we see that in American politics a lot. It's much of what drives the decisions by many media figures and politicians. And I have an example of that here from Trump fundraising an absurd amount off of his indictment, his arrest and arraignment. And we'll get to a Lincoln Project ad that calls out the scam that all of this is on the part of Trump and how his supporters should wake up to that fact. But before we get to that video that you definitely want to see, first, here's the email Trump sent out shortly before he was arrested and arraigned. And it kind of just says all the normal things he's been saying about his indictment, and then contribute, of course, there. And then they put together a fake mugshot. We were wondering if he was going to actually get a mugshot, and he didn't. But I guess the Trump team put together a fake mugshot and put it on a shirt with the words "not guilty," and they're selling those shirts. And now I'll show you just how much money Trump has been able to raise based on this narrative he's created that all of his wrongdoing, it didn't actually happen, and now him being held accountable for it is just him being politically persecuted. And people are very much buying into it. As CNBC writes, former President Donald Trump's 2024 campaign raised $7 million in the days after his indictment in Manhattan, a top campaign aide said Monday. And here's Jason Miller's tweet. In only 3 days since news of the indictment, President Donald Trump's campaign has raised a record $7 million, and that was before the arrest and arraignment. People are just chucking money at him, even though, isn't he a billionaire? What does he need all this money for? Who knows? It's been a question for a while. But now we get to the Lincoln Project directing a video. The description is PSA for anyone who receives a fundraising email from Trump tonight, don't be a sucker. And directing this message toward MAGA supporters and saying, you're being suckered.
Dear MAGA, we have some bad news. No, not that he lost. Not that your little coup attempt failed and its planners and the attackers are going to jail. No. The really bad news is why Trump told you he lost. Why he set it up way before the 2020 election. It wasn't voter fraud, but it was fraud. Trump told you the election was stolen to rip you off, to sucker you, to take your hard-earned money and shovel it into his pockets. He spent it on himself, not to take back the White House. It was the biggest scam in political history. Every dollar you sent him paid to keep his shaky business empire and lavish lifestyle going. It was a sucker's game all along. And you know who the sucker is? It's you.
Whoa. And I just wish supporters of his could realize maybe he's not this hero who's standing up against the deep state. Maybe he's just a guy who wanted all the attention in the world and the power and the money, and tricked you into thinking he was this hero fighting against the deep state to accomplish that goal. And now everything that happens, he uses to suck more money and extract more power based on your support out of you. It's not because he cares for you. It's not because he's being wronged in all these different ways and he's the biggest victim in American history. Maybe he just actually committed these crimes, just like how he actually lied about the election. And that's not something you should be throwing money at. And you're giving up your hard-earned money for a guy who is just scamming you. It's just a scam. And doesn't matter how many times I say that, because obviously I'm sure there aren't too many Trump supporters watching me. It's likely not going to change anytime soon.